Hey everyone, welcome to a special lecture video that I'll occasionally do when I'm busy with other things. In this case, Anime North is next week, and I didn't bother having any material for a typical painting lecture, painting process video, so I'm going to do another one of these crude teaching art concepts type of videos. This time around, I'll be talking about the seduction meter. Now, this is not an official name of anything. It's just something that I have in my own twisted head, but it will make a lot of sense when I discuss what the concept of what the seduction meter is. So, the concept of it, the premise is that how we present ourselves in look and the attitude directly affects the impression people have of you, but more importantly, when it comes to, of course, drawing and painting characters, it affects the subjects in your art as well. So, yes, Sydney Sweeney here is probably a good example here. You can see that at an event, she's wearing a red dress, she's depicting a certain attitude about her, whereas on the bottom, it's the same person, she's wearing different clothing for an advertisement, and for some reason, even though the dress up in the top is more provocative in a way, the bottom one seems a little bit more inviting and seductive. So that's something you have to really be aware of, especially when it comes to trying to deal with advertising and marketing or doing promotional art and that sort of thing. You have to understand just what extent you want, what attitude and look you want to present for your audience. So this might seem a little confusing, so I'm going to explain it in a way that makes sense for me. So anybody who has followed me has probably seen the idea of the reality meter. I don't take credit for this. This is something that Bobby Chu of Imaginism Studios taught me this, where you can basically put any type of art within the realm on this meter. So like we can go to the most abstract, where there's no representation of reality at hand, whereas you can go all the way towards the realistic side. Obviously, we can't replicate reality perfectly on painted canvases, but you can see that somebody like William Bouguereau will probably get as close as you can possibly get. So your style is going to be somewhere on this bar. So similarly, in the seduction meter, when you're dealing with characters or whatever subject matter you're dealing with, you have to consider that there is going to be a range of going from for kids. Jokingly on this meter, I put the logo for kids, but you get my point. It's something very innocent. There's literally no provocative sexual element to it, and you can get into corn, and you can most likely understand what I mean when it comes to corn. I'm not going to say the word. You know what I mean. So you can judge franchises based on the seduction meter that I've established. So you can go from, of course, something for children, where something like Paw Patrol, everything is designed so that it's very, very innocent. Obviously, you don't want to expose kids to a lot of certain elements of what we know. So, like, we want to be very careful when we are dealing with media for kids. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a little bit of edge to it. So, like, as kids grow older, they might get into K-pop demon hunters. The K-pop demon hunters, the Huntrix girls, they're not exactly wearing really covered clothing. They're wearing actually pretty exposed clothing, actually, if you think about it, for a children's animation. But it's still in a very classy way, and obviously in the story to present it in such a way that it's not going to be provocative or sexual in that nature. Then you get into some anime, such as gushing over magical girls. I'm not going to explain what it is. If you know, you know, but it's going to start leading towards corn. So if you're really attentive when you're watching media or you're looking at art, you want to understand what the artists are intending the franchise, the media to be, and who they're trying to cater to, because that will ultimately determine just how provocative or innocent they want their subjects and story and narrative to be overall. And that's really the idea of the seduction meter. And it's not always sexual, of course, so like keep that in mind. So this can also pertain to specific characters. So you can see that I'm obsessed with magic lately, but the same character wearing the same or very similar clothing will have different impressions depending on what the illustration is and who the artist is. So on the left is Peach Momoko's magic. If you've seen her work, she's very flowery, and her work is very I wouldn't say like for children, but it's definitely safe for work. Whereas I'm gonna, sorry if you're the artist, I completely forgot who did this magic. But on the right side, you can see it's starting to get a little bit more provocative. It's sort of inviting the viewers, very seductive, and it's attracting the audience here. So you can probably sort of guess it's sort of leaning towards the right side as well. I want to make very clear you don't have to be perfect when it comes to judging this. This is the sort of thing that you would probably just think in your head, so don't be so mathematical about it. And of course, just for the sake of equality, we can have it for men here. We have Cloud Strife. Same deal. I don't need to explain it again. Left side. Posing, the way he looks, everything is presented in a more neutral way, whereas on the right side you can see the attitude is very inviting, and I'm sure there's fangirls who are gushing over this as you would imagine. So to make it perfectly clear, it's not always about the design and their look, because the attitude matters as well. So this with Nami here from One Piece is a very good example of this, where there's two different illustrations. The top, both of them are wearing the same clothing, but the top one is a lot more innocent than on the seductive meter than the one on the bottom. So you can see that the attitude, the way you're posing, the way you're looking, the way they look, how you render matters, everything combines together to have that style that you're looking for. So be attentive to what your characters are saying and how they present themselves in the artwork. Now, why is this very important? Because if you've been watching some of my videos, you would understand I like to talk about style a lot. And every artist has their tolerance of where they are okay with seduction meter. I'm not going to judge people on where they stand on it. I'm not going to hate on children's media, and I'm sure not going to hate on people who want to draw corn, okay? It's whatever you feel that you're okay with, and what you feel that you like drawing, go with it. But you have to sort of stay consistent with the seduction meter, because when I'm drawing characters, I'm very attentive to how far I can go on this meter. If you might have noticed, I may draw pinup a lot with a lot of character illustrations, but I'm very careful that it's not too sexual and provocative. And not to say that some of them are not very inviting and attractive and that sort of thing, but I do have a hard limit on how far to the right of the meter that I would go. So you have to really see for yourself and ask yourself where you are on the bar, and try to stay consistent, and be aware of what type of clients and what type of audience you want to go with. Who is my audience is what you should be asking. Hopefully that makes sense. Like and subscribe as usual. Look at my social media links on the description below. If you want to follow me, feel free to check out all my other platforms. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.